Well, here I've finally got one of the rear wheel hubs cleaned up, and I got it set on the axle. I used the chain fall on the portable gantry crane to get her on there. You can wheel them around, and you just got to be careful and keep it balanced. But I did chase all the threads on these, but it's been sitting outside, so I'm gonna do a final cleanup on it and wire brush again some areas, and then I'm not gonna put the tires on quite yet. I'm gonna get the two hubs on and I'm gonna try to adjust the brakes and the drag on there so that I can feel it. I got the transmission in neutral right now, and that way I can rotate it around and get the keys lined up and everything. So gonna get the other bottom half of the clamp in now and snug her up a little bit. I think I got her in the original position she was in. I might have to come in about another 1/8 of an inch, but you can see on the axle shaft where the nice clean steel surface is. That's where here I can show you on the right side. Here you can see how the hub was clamped on there, the nice steel surface. So yeah, we're getting there. I got all the brakes all on. I did have to rebuild the spring and the adjustment for I had to cut the welds off on the original one, pop the center shaft out, and drill. I put the barrel in the lathe and drilled it out, and was able to save they're a 7/16 20 thread, and I got some pictures and stuff I can show at the end of this video. But wound up welding the U-shaped piece to the threaded rod, and then all still the original parts except for the threaded rod. And how International attached that is, this is just a big heavy washer on the OD of the barrel that's compressing the spring, and they just had two welds on there. So I did the same thing when I assembled it back together. So we'll see how it works out. Other than that, it's a little slow going right now on the 49H project, as there's a lot of work to be doing outside, keeping grass mowed and weed eating, and I've been rebuilding my driveway this summer. I picked up a dump trailer and been able to haul stone, so been doing a lot of maintenance on the driveway. Well, here you can see I got the left side rear tire hub on, and wasn't really that difficult to get on. I did put a little grease on the threads and slid the other half of the clamshell clamp in there, and started screwing the bolts in. I did buy new bolts and new lock washers, and then there was a small narrow regular washer on there. That's what was on the original one, so I was able to find them on McMaster-Carr. The only thing I was a little dissatisfied with is the new bolts. The head on the original bolts was a lot taller. I think these are 1/8 of an inch shorter than the original ones. But the original bolts on this were rotted out and pitted real bad, and I didn't want to trust them. So I wound up putting new bolts on. I tried to find the bolts online with like a heavy head or tall head, and I couldn't find any. And there's a ton of used bolts on the internet, like on eBay, but you know, you don't know what you're gonna get. Some of them looked as bad as the ones that I had in there, so I wound up buying the new ones. I know they're not original, but I didn't want to make a total of 8 bolts. It's not that I couldn't have made them, but these were available. Well, believe it or not, between the bolts and the lock washer and the washers, I bought 8 of them. It came to a little over $90. So, but I think in the long run it's worth it to have new hardware on it. So, so yeah, now I'll get the right side hub all cleaned up and chase the threads and get that on, and then we'll get the brakes adjusted. Well, I just finished doing some cleaning on the right side wheel hub. I ran a 5/8 11 die over the threads, and then wire brushed and cleaned out where all the clamps go that hold the rim onto the hub, and I wire brushed all the surfaces that the rim is going to sit on. The only thing I got left to do, and I'm gonna lift it up with the tractor, is I gotta clean the inside of the, you know, the mounting surface where it locates right on the axle. And what I'll do is tip this up and get in there with the little die grinders and the wire brushes, and then I take a piece of emery and do the surfaces that actually sit right on the axle itself. So yeah, so getting that all cleaned up and ready to go on, and I guess it would be nice if I sandblasted and painted everything, but this go around on the 49H, we're just getting it mechanically all set. This is where the drive lug goes. That's welded onto the rim. It sits in this slot right here. Well, here I wound up finishing the wire brushing on the right side wheel hub outside here, and got the inside here all cleaned up and ready to go on the tractor. So we'll get this in the shop and get her on the axle and get her all bolted on and torqued down. So these cleaned up pretty good. Castings are a little on the rough side, but that's that way from the factory, I guess. But yeah, we'll get her in the shop next. Well, I got the right side wheel hub into the shop here, and got her up on the chain fall. So I'm gonna get her wheeled over and set onto the axle and get the clamp shell on there and put the new bolts in and get her tightened down. I'll tell you, I really do appreciate this chainsaw. I couldn't have done it without it. Okay, well, I got the hub all on there where I want it, and I'm gonna put the clamp in there and bolt her down. And I had to, originally they were, one hub was on, this hub here was on 3/4 of an inch closer than the left side, so I'm moving it out a little bit and gonna have them both equal. And once I get the complete tractor back together, I'll measure things up and see. The front was pretty good about being in line with the rears, so I'm sure that would be a fun project to get that tube moving in and out of there. But I think it's going to be fine. You can see they're kind of lined up there now, so we'll get the tires on and see what we got. Well, we got everything all mounted here on the right side wheel hub, and got the lower, I'll just call it a clamshell, in, and got the bolts all in, and they're not final torqued yet, but we'll get them torqued down. I did want to mention that the one thing I was fortunate was that my keyways in the axle shafts are in good shape, and the keys on the hub and the clamshell were in good shape also, so I was fortunate on that. So I think what I'm going to do now is try to get the brakes adjusted now that I can rotate the axles. So we'll the brakes are stopping the hubs really pretty good. Well, it's got the new brake bands and everything, but those I've got to get them all adjusted and everything. So we'll work on that. So yep. So now both wheel hubs are mounted on the 1949 H. Okay, here in this first photo, you can see where I cut the welds off to release the washer. And in this photo, the stud is still stuck. Here I cut the stud and have the spring tensioner all taken apart. In this photo here, I took the center plunger and have it set up in the lathe and currently drilling out the stud that is stuck inside. And in this photo here, after getting it drilled out, I was able to chase the threads. They're a 7/16 20 thread. And this here is one of the brake pedal adjusters that I use to get the length of the threaded rod. And then here on the little U-shaped piece, I drilled and tapped it for the 7/16 20 to hold the stud before welding. And then here I have the washer back on the center plunger, have it all clamped together and welded. And then here in this photo you can see it all in position, and just need to have the clutch adjusted. And this photo just shows one of the clamps all cleaned up and the new bolts and washers and lock washers that I'm using to hold the hubs on. And this photo here just shows the right side hub sitting on the axle ready for the bolts.